Hey guys, Chris here with theGoodOldGamer. So after yesterday's big announcements and reviews and all that fun stuff, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of an overview video. It's also going to be kind of like a little bit of a behind the scenes video as well. I'm going to go over a lot of my thoughts and things that I didn't go over in the individual product reviews. It's just more of my feelings about what I've seen in the past 24 hours, and I kind of want to talk to you guys about that. So starting this video off, I really want to thank every one of you guys for coming to this channel and watching this type of content. Just a few years ago, videos like this didn't really exist, not in the tech space. So for a long time, everybody thought I was like a reviewer because nobody knew what I really was back then. Nowadays, we have other channels like Moore's Law is Dead and Not an Apple Fan, and those guys are kind of following suit. And then we had Adore TV there for a long time. Now we have another analyst like Cortex, and those guys I think are more like analysts. This channel I consider to be more of a commentary channel, because wading through all of those reviews and finding out which ones make the most sense, which ones are good, which ones are bad, I think that's becoming a real asset to the community, because a lot of these reviews out there were really, really awkward. That's really the best way to phrase it. If you were on my Discord yesterday, that was my initial reaction. I'm like, this looks weird. It feels weird. The Navi reviews and the Zen 2 reviews, everything felt a little bit off. Now, over time, I got some background information, and looks like a lot of it has to do with software on the Zen 2 side. BIOSes aren't quite there yet. I mean, it's a new product, it's a new architecture, so things were a little wonky, and I think that's what made those reviews feel a little bit off. Some people had different numbers than other people, and yeah, so it was a little strange. At the end of the day, when it came to Zen 2 and the Ryzen 3000 series, everybody had a positive reaction to that though. So even with different numbers here and there, everybody had an overall really positive reaction, and that's what we were expecting. Now, for me personally, the Ryzen 3000 series was actually the disappointing product of the day. Most reviewers, that was their highlight. For me, it was actually the more disappointing one. I was actually expecting clocks to be a little bit higher. You know, instead of the 4.3 where they seem to hit, I was hoping for 4.4, 4.5 when the CPUs boosted up a little bit. But regardless, performance was a little bit lower than I was expecting overall, but still really good. And like everybody else, obviously the Ryzen 3000 series makes sense at every price point that they're at. And that was pretty much the unanimous consensus from most of the community. However, with that being said, the RX 5700 and 5700 XT, the Navi cards, the reception to those was massively different and all over the place. And it still is. I mean, the reviews are still new. I'm sure many of you guys are still going out there and checking out other people's reviews and opinions, which you should do. You should absolutely do that. But you're going to find conflicting data and opinions, more opinions than data. The data is actually rather consistent. I've looked at probably 2 or 3 dozen different websites and reviews, and most of the time they line up. Even when people are like, oh, this doesn't look right, I'm like, no, those numbers are right. They line up with everybody else. However, the thing that I'm noticing is there's a very, very different opinion out there from one reviewer to the other. And while different opinions is a good thing, you want to hear different sides of the argument, of course, the fact that we're seeing narrative being shifted so heavily and so hard in the direction, it's really crazy. Now, there's a lot of reviewers out there that I do trust. Their numbers are good, and their conclusions were relatively neutral, or what they should be compared to the data that's there. However, I've seen a lot of reviews where they would directly contradict the information that they're literally showing you on the screen while they're talking about it. So, for example, the Navi cards, I'm just going to say it straight up, they are not getting a fair shake by the media out there. That's one of the big reasons why I'm doing this video. It's one of the big reasons why I'm grateful to all of you guys. This might be a very small channel. I'm a super small fish in a really, really big pond. But we're growing. This channel is growing. Moore's Law is Dead is growing. Paul from Not an Apple Fan is growing. And if you happen to have a channel similar to this, you do a commentary channel, and I'm unfamiliar with you, send me a message. I'd be more than happy to check out your content, give you some help. Now, I don't really care. I'm going to be very, very clear about this. I don't care about companies. I don't care if AMD loses sales because reviewers out there are pushing a narrative for their own reasons, which I actually have some sources out there telling me Nvidia themselves got involved just a couple of days before the Navi launch, specifically to talk to certain people about Navi. We'll go more in depth in that later on down the road. I don't want to divulge too much there, but I do want to let everybody else out there know that I know that you are being biased. You are presenting your information out there as unbiased fact and your opinions as not being influenced by anybody. If you want to go ahead and shill for a company, because you are shilling at that point, put a little sponsored by this company logo, so sponsored by Nvidia, on your AMD review, if you are going to do that. Now, I'm not calling anybody out by name. I am going to start doing some investigations into this. And for those companies out there that are in these practices of favoring one side over the other and presenting their information as objective fact and as an objective review, your days are numbered. Channels like mine, I'm going to help support them, and we're going to grow. We're going to call you out on this stuff. All right, so overall, the Navi GPUs, they're actually pretty good. Steve from Hardware Unboxed, his review was really excellent. As per usual, pretty much unbiased, and his numbers were right in line with everybody else's. The 5700 XT is 2% slower than the 2070 Super, while costing 20% less. Obvious win. There's no questioning that. And then the 5700 matches the 2060 Super, almost like for like, point for point. Now, one of the big things that reviewers, they try to ignore, Turing's a 10-month-old architecture, has 10 months of driver updates. The driver for the AMD graphics card came out one day beforehand, and it actually still performed really well. And you can clearly see that in most of the reviews, if you check out like 20 reviews and compile the data, in older games that AMD obviously didn't figure were going to be big for reviews, they didn't optimize for it. Because you can see like in 1080p, the 5700 XT would match like the 2080 Ti. And then at 1440p, it might drop off the map. So you can tell that there's something not right with the drivers. I haven't really heard anybody mention that in any of their reviews. Now, granted, it's up to AMD to provide the best possible drivers at launch, and everybody has to kind of go off of that data. But at the same time, this is a brand new architecture with one-day-old drivers. Things are going to get better. So the fact that we're seeing close to super performance right now with immature drivers, you figure that would give them a little bit of leeway, that these would probably get better in the future. Now, the common criticisms that I heard were obviously the cooler, which, okay, it's a blower-style cooler. It's going to do what it's going to do. Nobody's watching this review for the blower-style cooler. They will wait, 3 or 4 weeks for the AIB cards, which they'll be coming in a few weeks. At that point in time, you just buy the card. It might cost you $10, $20 more. If it costs a lot more, then obviously you have to weigh that out, but you know what the performance of the card is. And you'd also see people do some very serious mental gymnastics to justify things like RTX, which is available in like 3 or 4 games now. And in the future, it's going to be this big, great thing. Yeah, in the future, 3 or 4 years from now. Remember, next generation consoles come out at the end of next year. Games will not be designed specifically for those for 2 years after that. So holiday 2022 is the first time ray tracing's got any chance of really mattering. Okay, so if you like that effect, that's great. You already know that. You know you're going to pay a premium. You have to buy an Nvidia card. But you also have to remember that AMD has a completely different version of ray tracing. Now, I should probably do its own video on that. It's been leaked. We know what AMD's ray tracing is going to look like. And from analysts out there, they're saying it's much more efficient, doesn't require as much hardware as Nvidia's ray tracing, and that's what's going to be in the consoles. Will it work on Nvidia graphics cards? It's unknown. So it may not even work. Ray tracing in the future may not work on Nvidia's graphics cards at all anyway. So I wouldn't even worry about that until we get to that point. And by then, you can buy graphics cards that are way more powerful than what we have here today for less money. So that destroys that argument, but you see people harp on this like it's the next coming. Yeah, maybe 5 or 10 years from now, it'll matter. Today, it doesn't matter. We're talking about graphics cards here today. You're using the data today. You're ignoring the fact that you're using day one drivers, and, that's going to get better in the future. You're ignoring that part of the future, but you want to look at this other part. It's bad, guys. The bias out there is amazing. Now, with the Ryzen CPUs, there's nothing anybody could do. They're obviously really, really good, and everybody had to call it like it was. They had to fall in line, because if you had somebody going, "No, these are terrible," and everybody else is saying that they're great, that company would lose credibility. Now, with the 5700 series, even at their original prices, are still good. They didn't need the price drop. With the price drop, they're fantastic. And probably the best video I ever did, this one right here, I did right before the Navi GPUs and reviews and stuff came out, and I lined it up for you guys. That was the way that we used to judge graphics cards. Basically that was the level of performance that we expected each and every single generation. It's all explained in that video, and that's what we as consumers need to hold these companies accountable to. I've been called a consumer justice warrior in one of the comment sections before, because I'm always looking out for you guys. I look at it from the perspective of me. Would I buy this? Does this make sense? And that's how I base my opinions. Does this make sense to me? I buy very value-friendly stuff. I don't go out and spend $700 on a video card because I think it's stupid. If you like it, or if it does something for you, absolutely go for it. But for the average gamer out there, it's completely unnecessary. And I'm going to keep saying that. I'm going to tell it to you as I see it. But you're getting a genuine opinion. Nobody's putting any money in my pocket. I don't get calls from AMD or Nvidia or any of these guys. I don't speak to anybody. I don't have any sponsors. The channel itself makes all of its revenue from you guys just watching, sharing, liking. That's how I make the majority of my money. I do have a Patreon account. Those guys help out and help me get some stuff on hand so I can do some different videos other than just talking videos like this one. And we get to do some testing and the IPC stuff, and that's a lot of fun. But other than that, that's the only funding this channel gets, and I'm okay with that. I don't need funding from all over the place. I do this because I enjoy it and because I like helping people. I've been in sales my whole life, and I'm just seeing people being sold day after day after day on the same stuff. It's just marketing, guys. There's no such thing as mindshare. It's just Nvidia's marketing is the best. They're really, really good at influencing people in ways that I probably couldn't even imagine. Intel's marketing is pretty solid as well. And I've said this before, but AMD's marketing is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And they're getting steamrolled when they shouldn't. They have a card that performs identically. 2% is irrelevant. It's just as fast as the 2070 Super. And there's a few people out there recommending it. The people out there that actually do the benchmarks, look at the data, and base their opinions off of that data, those people are recommending it. However, I'd say probably 2/3 of the reviews that I've seen out there do not recommend it. And I'd say probably 25% of those are actively promoting the 2060 and 2070 Super in those very videos by doing mental gymnastics to justify the purchase of those. They're actually shilling for Nvidia's products in an AMD review. Now, if you don't like the cards, you don't like the cards. But you can't argue with the fact that you're getting 1080 Ti-like performance for $399, which is what everybody wanted from this generation. Nvidia still does not deliver that. That would be a 2070 Super at its actual price of $399, where it should be and should have been all the way back last October. But no, we had to wait 9 months, and it's still $100 overpriced. I don't care how much it cost Nvidia. I don't care how much these things cost AMD. You people out there like to justify, well, this, that, and the other. I don't care. It's not your job to pay for their R&D. It's not your job to go ahead and fund these people. It's not your job to make sure that they eat at the end of the day. That's their job. Their job is to do that. Your job is to pay them as little as possible and get the absolute maximum. Whether or not that puts them out of business is not your problem. It is our job as a community to hold companies accountable and keep getting what we've been getting forever. If they start delivering less, we have to stop buying them. And this has happened with Turing. Nvidia's consumer-grade GPUs got cut in half once Turing came out and Pascal was off the shelves. Once that happened, their revenue cut in half. It's crazy. So they definitely know that we have all the power. It's not on them. And if they spend too much money on R&D and can't recover it, too bad. Companies take a loss all the time. I don't care if you take a loss. You have to deliver on certain performance tiers. And that's, once again, what I mentioned in this video. We have to hold them accountable. Otherwise, companies will continue to take advantage of the entire community. And if you're one of those people that are like, screw it, I don't care. I'm just going to buy it and it doesn't matter to me. I make all the money in the world. That's great. You know, you can do whatever you want, but just know that you are affecting other people than just yourself by promoting bad practices. Well, alrighty guys, sorry that went a little bit ranty, but I got a lot of information today, and I'm really heated up when I watch some videos where you see them shitting all over the 5700 XT. Meanwhile, the video that they're playing while they're shitting on it is beating the 2070 Super, which is 25% higher price than the 5700 XT. It's crazy. You guys don't have a clue. We actually have parity between the GPUs now. 2560 stream processors versus 2560 CUDA cores on the 2070 Super and the 5700 XT. Same performance. They have the same power draw, so efficiency is the same. We have parity in the market, and everybody's just going off shilling for companies because the vast majority of these reviewers, they make the most of their money from affiliate sales, and they just want to sell you something. They're just salespeople. They're not reviewers. They are influencers, and they're just salespeople. Well, anyway, I've said this before in the past. Like I said, I'm getting ranty. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you like the video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with friends. That's all I have for today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.